Hey guys, so it is about 10:30 in the morning on Monday. I'm picking this up right after the last vlog clip I filmed for last week's vlog. So let's go over what exactly is going to be going on this week. So last weekend I had the wedding I was supposed to go to, so that's all done and taken care of. Thankfully, I don't have anything going on this weekend except for this Saturday we are doing the 24-hour readathon for Battle of the Bookish, which basically, for those of you that are not participating in it but would like to know kind of how that goes, so we basically had decided that we were going to do a 24-hour readathon over the course of the weekend, and if you finish any of the books that you're reading in during that time period from midnight to midnight in your time zone, you would earn an additional so many points on top of the page points you would already get for your book, as well as any like prompt points if your book fulfills a prompt. It basically is just added points. So that is kind of what we're doing with that. It's a new thing we're doing with this readathon, so we're gonna see how it goes. I'm sure it's gonna be very fun for a lot of people, and I will be doing sprints on Saturday night as well to end off the 24-hour readathon within this. Other than that, not really too much going on, just kind of going through the normal stuff. On Saturday, we'll also be going to go get groceries, so like I'll be probably getting some audiobook time in as I'm driving around. But main priorities, I don't have my book in here with me currently, but I am going to be hopefully first off this week finishing The Hero of Ages. I have like around 200 pages I think left of this, so I would like to be able to finish it here in the next couple of days if I can, once I can, you know, get some time today to start reading it, because I haven't had an opportunity yet to be able to read it during my breaks because I've been trying to do a bunch of other stuff. But I did get my planner all set up for the other things in terms of like my witchy practice stuff, what I'm going to be doing each day, and then also the library spreadsheet, what I'll be doing each day for that, stuff like that. So I only have this week so far my vlog from last week going to be going out, which should hopefully go out tomorrow, I think, because my last video just went out yesterday, Saturday. Was it Saturday? I think it was Saturday. So my last week's vlog, which basically is Wednesday through Sunday, well, Wednesday through Monday technically, because I ended the last vlog here just a second ago, but hopefully that should be out tomorrow for everybody. But I don't have any other videos prepped because I was going to wait to put out another video until either this vlog or when I get through Supernova, because that is my next book I would like to do a review for. So yeah, I'm just gonna be kind of like hit or miss in terms of like getting content out more than once a week, but that's fine because it's really kind of just giving me a little bit more opportunity to breathe and not feel stressed out about doing a lot of stuff. So, and especially with the last couple of weeks having to make sure that like I get the videos I had already started prepped and like finished up and uploaded and everything, it'll be nice to have only the vlog so far this week, and then if I can get through, you know, Supernova by the end of the week, filming that and getting that out sometime next week will be more than okay. I will be very happy with that, but I'm not necessarily like super freaked out about, you know, getting it out this week because I'm still working through Hero of Ages, and then I have one other book to get through before Supernova, so that's fine. Like it is what it is. But in terms of like the reading part of this vlog, I'd, like I said, want to get through Hero of Ages and then get through The Rithmatist by Brandon Sanderson, which I also do not have here right next to me, but that is the Royally Booked Club book from May, and I missed the voice chat in our Discord for that because I was at the wedding, but I hadn't even finished it at all. So I would like to get through that so that I can, you know, have it done and just be able to say that I did read it, and then get started with Supernova, which I have the dust jacket for it right here, but I don't have the book with me because I don't like reading with the dust jackets on in case I ruin them. But this will be the possible last read if I can get to this in this week. Otherwise, this might be something I wait until next week to read. It's going to depend on how fast I can get through Hero of Ages and The Rithmatist, but my biggest goal is to at least get this started, if not finish it in the week. But in terms of what we got going on today, so in terms of my practice stuff for my witchy stuff, for those of you that are interested, today we are going to be resetting my wards, which are very simple. They are just a couple little boundaries at the doors of the house because they are the places where people can enter. So I find them to be the most important places to ward. I don't necessarily ward around the entire perimeter of the house because, for one, I have Oscar who gets into the yard, and so, you know, I don't want him to get into anything that I put out there that could be pretty dangerous for him. I don't think anything would, but just, you know, being a little bit paranoid about that, I don't want to worry myself about that. But what I do like to do also is just make sure that the doors are the most important aspects, because that is where things come in and out of the house. Specifically, most importantly, the back door, because that is the way that we enter the house, because of the fact that Robert, you know, parks in the garage and then he comes in through the back door to come into the house. It's not very often we have people come through the front door, but when we have guests come by, you know, they do come through the front door. So I would like to ward that as well. Those are really the only two places I do the most simplest of warding that is the most effective for me. So I do have plans in the future to create other kinds of wards around the house, but I don't have the materials for those as of yet, and I have to actually figure out what exactly I want to do. So I think that today I'm going to spend some time during my lunch, after getting through a few other things, coming up with a couple things. Like, I have some ideas in terms of using the sticks that are outside from the trees that are in our backyard, because there are plenty of those and I can definitely use them. I just need to figure out the best way to use them. So then also I would like to go ahead and cleanse my altars. I believe that the 2 altar cloths that I have for Freya's altar are washed and dried, because Robert went ahead and did a bunch of laundry last night after we got home. So I'm gonna put those back on there, and then just basically use some incense and cleanse the spaces of the altars, just to kind of give them a little bit of a refresh, because they've been reorganized now that I've got, you know, Bastet's and Loki's all set up. So just gonna quickly go through and just cleanse them a little bit more with some incense, just to make them nice and clean and, you know, feel nice for them, since, you know, I've been kind of neglecting my guides for some time. I also have a ancestor altar for my grandfather that I do think I need to cleanse as well. And then in terms of what my plan for cleaning today, because if you don't know, I'm doing a massive cleaning project around my house where I am each day going to be taking on a different aspect of the house to clean up. Today is my bookshelves. So typically what that includes is making sure books that are put away on there that need to be, which there's only a couple of them that need to be, and just making sure that everything is as organized as it can be, because like having to rearrange books that get put on there and moving things down, like it's a bit of a process. But this time won't take me nearly as much, because I had already put away all of the books that were going to be my AAPI reads that I had pulled out of my shelves. So all of those are put back on there already. So I really only have like the books from May that were in my wrap up that I have to put on those shelves. So that's not going to take me nearly as long. So that's my big cleaning project for the day. And then today, in terms of my library spreadsheet, I have to go through the authors with the last name starting with F, which I don't think also is very many. Physically, at least, there's only like a handful of books, so it won't take me too long. I don't even really know exactly how many on my Kindle I have that are not Kindle Unlimited that basically would count for that, because I also got Kindle Unlimited over the weekend, just because I thought it would be interesting to see what I would think of it, because there's a 2-month trial period and I've not really ever tried it before, because I didn't like the idea of only having the 1 month. So I got 2 months just because I thought it would be interesting, and they had this deal where like you'd pay, I think if it wasn't free, it was like $5 basically for the trial of 2 months. But typically you get like a 1 month free trial for Kindle Unlimited, and then it's $10 a month, which is the same as my Scribd subscription, which I liked Scribd to an extent. I definitely wish that they had a little bit more availability with some of the audiobooks, because like, for instance, the Wheel of Time books, they only have New Spring as an audiobook on there, and all of the books I think have an audiobook, so I don't know why they don't have all of the audiobooks, but it's fine. And then there's just like some other things that I kind of wish like they would have, because they would, I would think, be very popular books. Like they don't have any of the Witcher books on there, but I also don't know if the Witcher books even have established like full-length audiobooks kind of thing that you like were made by, you know, one of the publishing companies. But I like Scribd because I like the ability to get the audiobooks. Like the Stephen King ones, for instance, are really easy to find, especially since my library a lot of times doesn't have all the audiobooks that I'm looking for, and sometimes Scribd does. Kindle Unlimited, I definitely feel like is going to be interesting because there's a lot of the very popular independently published books that I would like to be able to read, like the Zodiac Academy books. I didn't realize though that the program is more of like a library setup where you only can borrow 20 books, and that I didn't know. I thought it was you pay the $10 and you have access to being able to download any of the books and keep them. They have this thing where when you download 20 books that are part of the Kindle Unlimited group, that's it. That's all you can borrow, and then you have to return some of them if you want to get more. I didn't realize it was more of a library kind of setup. I thought it was, you know, you're just paying $10 to unlimited access to all these other books that you would otherwise buy for like $1.99, you know, 99 cents, whatever. It will be interesting because I think it will definitely make it so that I can read these things and then just be able to say I've read them, and not have to like add in a bunch of space to like my Kindle if I, you know, don't really 100% like things. I'm gonna try it out and see what I think because I've never used it before. I've heard people really seem to like it in terms of the accessibility of a lot of the books that are on there. And then if by 2 months I don't really seem to care for it, then we'll cancel it because I'm not about to hold on to things that I'm not enjoying. So okay guys, so it is going on 4:30 right now. If you hear noise in the background, my husband is currently giving Oscar a bath. But I just got a very exciting package in the mail. So if you guys watched my vlog from last week, you will know that I placed a couple orders with this company called Acorn and Crow. They are a stationery, journaling, and sticker company that I found on Etsy through TikTok. So I have my second order that I placed a couple weeks ago. And honestly, I'm surprised because this one came a lot faster than the first order I had did. I think it might have been because I was higher in the order list for the restock that I purchased stuff at. I want to say it was about probably like a week ago. Like I just got my first order that I placed earlier in May last week, and this I just got today. So we're gonna open it because I'm super excited to see the things I got. I'm so excited. So black packaging, very excited. Love this stuff so much. And there's wormies. There's wormies. I'm so excited. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I see things. I'm so excited. Okay. Wormies are gonna go over here, which I will pick up later. Do not worry. I love the wormies. I think it's so fun, and they're actually not that hard to clean up, truthfully. Like they're not really that difficult to clean up. Okay. So first thing is in this package here. Ooh, I'm so excited. So what I ended up getting first is in this package. So we have the sunflower thank you card that has all the information there. And my battery's dying, of course it is. But real quick, I got a few bookmarks I'm so excited to see in person. Also, thank you gift is a little holographic coffin sunflower sticker that matches the card. But I got these beautiful bookmarks. There's this black and gold bookmark with a crystal on it, and then the sepia roses and the red and black roses. And they're floppy and it's so nice. And then, so last order I got the Wizard dot grid notebook, and this time I got the Rogue one in celebration of one of my favorite characters from the Critical Role Vox Machina series, which is Vax'ildan. I just love this so much, and it's purple and it's so freaking pretty. Like, besides the fact that it's for Vax'ildan, this is just like my favorite like look of the notebook so far. So I'm gonna switch out my battery real quick and we'll show the rest of what I got. Okay, so battery is now switched. So the other thing I got is another notebook, and this is the Depresso Espresso notebook. I just love this so much, and it's got that very same kind of sepia rose background on it that the bookmark I got has. So these technically could go together, like, because they're the same print on the background, but I love this so much. I am so excited to finally have this. This was a bit of a smaller order than what I got the last time because I got a lot of stickers in the last order. I think this was all that I was supposed to get. I'm gonna double check my order real quick because I could be wrong, I could be missing something, and I would really hate to miss something, but I'm fairly certain this is everything that I got in my order. Yes, so for this order, that was all that I ended up getting, which, good, great. I would really hate to, you know, be that person where I didn't get everything in my order and have to contact them. But yes, so this is the same kind of notebook that I got last week. That was the cat skull one. So this one, I don't really know what I'm gonna use for, because the cat skull was very much something that I got in celebration of Freya. It was going to be my beginning of my shadow work journal with her. I have one for Bastet that is one that I had already had on hand. And I've been looking for one for Loki, but this one does not, I feel like, really exemplify Loki that much. I feel like if I'm gonna use one, it's gotta be one that's like, you know, really speaks to me, that is like, that looks like something that he would really like, kind of thing. Like if I was to think of him as like a person. I will leave their shop link in the description for you guys to go check them out. I seriously love their products so much. They are so fun. And the creator of all the content, the owner of the store, as I throw all of their things everywhere, is like super funny. Their TikToks are super awesome. They do a lot of the order packaging on their TikToks, and they're always so fun. Like, it's a massive chaotic energy that I just adore, because if you guys don't know anything about me, I'm a giant dork, and so I love it when people who are creative people specifically like showcase that dorkiness that lives inside of them. Like, that's one of the things I love the most about this small business, and I am always somebody who would really like to try to advocate for small businesses, especially somebody like Fel, who creates all of the merchandise. Like, she creates the designs that, you know, are on the notebooks, like, and everything's falling again. But like, all of this stuff is all the work that Fel does, like the designs of the notebooks, the way that they're made, the fact that the insides of these doc grid ones for the D&D classes are like with craft paper, whereas the bigger notebooks like the Depresso Espresso and the cat skull one are like blank, or they can be college line ruled. Like, there's so much hard work that goes into this that I feel like needs to be like appreciated. And I also have realized that like with this one and the wizard one I have, if I can pull it out without dropping more things, I like the size of these more than I thought I would, because I thought at first that with the wizard one, when I got it, it was a little smaller than I had expected. And it is, it's smaller than I had expected it to be, but I like how small it is, because I think that these will travel a little bit easier than like the bigger notebooks, which is fine. Like, I would expect with these ones in particular, like especially if you're a D&D player and like you want something to keep track of like your stats and how things are going and information during your campaigns, this would be a lot easier to carry around, like to throw in your backpack or your purse or, you know, whatever the case may be. And of course, I just love these bookmarks because I think that they're so fun, and I just love the design of all of like the crystal ones. For instance, I have a couple crystal things. Like the last order I got a crystal, like the ruby crystal sticker, and I really liked it a lot. And so like they're so pretty, and like this is just everything I look for when it comes to like witchy kinds of like inspiration. And then I just really like the look of these rose ones, because roses are my favorite flower, if you guys don't know. And I love these little tassels on them too. They're so fun. And then like the floppy sound they make is so fun. So I've got about 20 minutes left of my day. And then I gotta get dinner going, and then I think this evening I have to just do my editing and stuff like that. I did everything else on my to-do list I need to for today besides reading and editing. So that's gonna basically be my evening, and I'm pretty excited about it because it's gonna be a pretty chill evening, honestly. Like, that's very exciting. I'm very happy with that. But I'm gonna go finish up the rest of my day, and I will talk to all you guys probably tomorrow with an update on Hero of Ages, if I can get any further into it. I'm on page 576, so I have about just under 200 pages left of it. So it is very possible I could finish this in the next couple of days. So we shall see. Hey everybody, so it's going on noon here on Tuesday. It has been a very crazy day for me. I don't know why. Nothing's really been crazy with like work or anything. I've just been feeling a little squirrely. Not sure why. I think my brain today is just going at maximum capacity, and so like it's feeling like I'm trying to do go, 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 but I'm actively trying to not to. So I've only had my cup of coffee this morning, and I think I'm gonna cut it out there for the caffeine, just because I think that adding on one of my Alani News today is not going to help. I feel that in my gut and in my soul, and normally I am the complete opposite, where I will still drink the caffeine because I think it doesn't do anything. But I think that today is one of those days where I definitely should not do that. But what I will say is that today I have done a lot of stuff. So on my breaks, I've been able to already go through all of my stuff for my practice. I did my studying, and I also updated my library for the authors with last names starting with G. So that's good. The really only other things I need to do today are my cleaning for the day, which is going to be I'm going to do here in just a few minutes. I'm going to be cleaning up the kitchen sink, just basically wiping it down, making sure that the drains are not covered in gross old food and stuff like that, and like just getting stuff like cleaned up with that. But then other than that, tonight I need to finish editing my vlog. I was feeling kind of crummy last night, but then I got invited to go on Paco from Bad Witch Books' sprints. I had some availability because I was just editing and reading and stuff, which during those sprints I did, like I said, do a lot of editing, but I did some reading as well. I am less than 100 pages to the end in The Hero of Ages. I'm currently on page 659, and the book, before the like back material comes in, is 752 pages. So I have just reached basically the 100 page mark to the end. So I think I can get this done today, like this evening maybe. Thank you to Paco for letting me join in on your sprints last night. I'll leave his information down in the description for you guys if you're interested in checking him out. He's super nice, he's super, super cool, and he's just a lot of fun. I really like his energy. I really like, you know, watching his videos and partaking in the sprints that he hosts every Monday. So yeah, I think though that's gonna be my only other sprint I'm gonna do this week, other than my one on Saturday. But the one on Saturday may change to instead being on Friday, because Saturday my mom is going to go visit my sister, and she asked if I wanted to come with, and I did say I want to. And typically what happens is if we go out to her place, it's not until like the late evening that I get home. So I'm debating on basically doing my sprints Friday night instead of Saturday, because I would like to still do my sprints this weekend. It's just I would like to also go see my sister. So I think that if I do it, I am going to do them Friday at 8 p.m. because Friday night, I'm gonna then also go after work, go get groceries. But thankfully, I don't have to go very far to get groceries, and I don't need a ton of things. So I can quickly go into town and get those things after I finish work, come home and eat dinner, and then still have time for sprints. So I think that that might be what I do, is reschedule. And I'll just make a note in the community tab of my channel about that. So because I'm gonna be more than likely finishing Hero of Ages tonight, I may also start the Rithmatist tonight, depending on how late it is and how much I can, you know, spend on it. But tomorrow for sure, I will be getting through the Rithmatist by Brandon Sanderson. This was the Royally Booked Book Club pick for May, and I didn't get a chance to get through it. They have already had the live show for this and are getting ready to work on the June book, which I do have. It is already on my TBR for this month, but I still want to read this because I was interested in it, and it is a much shorter book. It's about, I want to say, like around 400 pages, which will be very nice to fly through. And then I think once I finish this, we'll be jumping over to a different book, which I'm trying to remember how I had listed it off here in my other notebook. It would be Supernova. Okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, once I get through the Rithmatist, then we'll get through the last book in the Renegades trilogy finally and finish out that series for the first time by reading Supernova for the first time. I've been kind of putting this off because I've been, again, worried of how the end's going to be, with this being the final book in the trilogy, but I am still very excited because the things that happened at the end of book 2, I had vaguely remembered from the first time I had read it, and reading it through the second time, I was very excited because I saw so much more potential than I could remember from when I first read it. So I am very excited to finally get through this series and be able to say that I have finished that series, and it was one of my goals for this year. And then maybe we'll see later this month get started on a different reread series, but we'll kind of see where that goes. It's going to really depend on how the rest of this month goes for me, because I have been spending so much time trying to get through this, but I'm trying to take it easy on myself, as you guys know. So I'm like, in terms of my reading stuff, I feel much better about the fact that, like, I'm not getting through as many things as I had wanted to, but I still, like, it's kind of one of those things where, like, you've been on something for so long, you just kind of want to get through it and move on to the next thing. That's kind of where my mindset is at, but I'm still enjoying this a lot. I was saying to Paco last night on his sprints that ultimately the rating of this is going to depend on whether or not the characters get the endings I believe they deserve. Because I feel that, especially with how this story's gone, I've loved every second of it. I have loved seeing everything come together. There's been a lot of reveals and a lot of things being finally, like, explained and tied up here in the last, like, 150 pages that I've read. And I've really enjoyed that, and I have really enjoyed the entirety of reading this. I feel like specifically, though, for the final book in a series, I want to see the characters not only tie up the loose ends, but also get the endings they fully deserve, because sometimes characters get killed off and it doesn't seem, you know, fair. It doesn't seem like that they really got the good ending, basically. And so that's what I look for, is I want to see the good endings for the specific characters. Like, there's some characters where I'm fine with them dying if they die in a certain way. For instance, the end of the Divergent trilogy, I really liked the ending of it. I know I have a very unpopular opinion when it comes to that, but the death of some of the characters involved in that story was, I think, the best way to go about their deaths, and I think that it was very true to their characters and how they would want to go out. So if that kind of happens in this, where I feel that a certain character dies in a very specific way where I feel like it is justified, and it also is a way that they would want to go out, like on their own terms kind of thing, then I would be more than okay with that character's death kind of thing. So ultimately, this will be a 4 or a 5 star. There's nothing going to be lower than 4 star with this one. That's kind of what my thoughts are for right now, but it is now my lunchtime, so I'm going to go get my lunch made, and I'm going to go get a little bit of cleaning done while that's being microwaved, and then we'll kind of go from there and get started with this. morning, everybody. It is 20 to 9 in the morning. I'm going to talk a little quietly because my husband is still sleeping. It is his day off today, so I want to make sure he gets some good sleep, especially because we were up very late last night because I was up until about 1 in the morning finishing The Hero of Ages. Oh my god, you guys, this ending, I had heard from several people who had already read this series that this ending was going to be emotional. And I guess I didn't exactly expect how emotional it was going to be because it, like, for the first time in a long time, I have had an ending, specifically to a series, I have had an ending that has made me bawl and want me to throw the book across the room. Like, genuinely, I got to like the very end, like the second to last chapter, and read what happened. Chapter 81, for those of you that might be trying to figure out what I'm referencing. That entire chapter broke my freaking heart. I was beside myself. I actually couldn't throw the book physically across the room, but I really wanted to because my husband was sleeping and I didn't want to disturb him. So I sat and I bawled quietly with him sleeping next to me without him understanding what's going on or anything. He didn't even wake up from any of that. It was the coolest, I think, way to end the story. So something I was talking about with Paco on his sprints on Monday was this idea that the ending was going to determine really whether or not this was going to be a 4 or a 5 star. And that was going to depend on if I felt that the characters ended up getting the endings I think they deserved. Whether they died or they lived, did they get an ending that I think best suited them and the character they are, that I felt, you know, made the most sense from a writing perspective. Because if I was to have written this, I would have gone things that very similar to what happened here. So I was greatly surprised by how much I loved the way that these characters ended up. As sad as I was for some of the characters and how they ended up in this series and some of the things that happened to some of them, like there was a couple very important characters who had major deaths, but they went out the way I wanted them to, the way I would have expected them to want to go out, in a sense. Like, they died with honor, they died with, you know, integrity. So I was very pleased by that. And then the rest of the characters that did remain alive, there was a few of them that I was honestly shocked at what became of them, but I was also shocked because there were so many things that, like, in this series that you kind of have to, like, subtly pick up, because you don't realize, like, how many things add up until the very end of this book. One character in particular gets, like, a massive, I'm going to say, life-altering change happen to them. If you know, you know. But essentially, I had no idea that this was going to happen. But they talk about how essentially, like, without specifically saying that there were breadcrumbs through the stories, there were breadcrumbs through the stories that I think basically added us up to having this particular character go through this life-changing event. And I was shocked again, like I said, about that happening, but then when I read what happened and what was going to happen to them, and seeing, like, the fact that there were these breadcrumbs over the course of the 3 novels that this was going to happen, it made sense. And again, like, it gave me a very satisfying conclusion for that character. And I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed this throughout. Like, I will say I think this is my favorite of the trilogy because books 1 and 2 did get 4 stars. This is getting a 5 star because I think that it was just fantastic the entire way through, and I feel that the ending best suits what these characters kind of had been in my mind. Like, they went out in the best way they could, each of them respectively in their own paths, and I'm very excited from here to see how the Mistborn Era 2 series goes, because that takes place 300 years after the events of this. One of the things, too, I really liked about this is this kind of overwhelming idea of not just good versus evil, but creation and destruction. Like there's this whole dichotomy of that within this because of reasons. And I can't get into why because it will spoil a lot of what happens specifically in this book. But what I can say is that I feel like that is going to be a theme that continues, because something else that goes on within this is this idea of a cyclical nature, a thing that happens, over time that kind of gets repeated, like the idea of history repeating itself in a sense where, things kind of in the background kind of repeat things that we've already seen. Things kind of get replenished. Things get, recreated, redone in a sense. Because there's basically this element of the story, which again, I can't divulge because it does spoil a lot of this, but there's an element of the story where there is information revealed about how exactly things kind of came about in terms of kind of like what we would consider to be like the creation story of man, the creation story of life, and how very cyclical it is in a lot of ways. And I really appreciated how that was brought up. And also within that, the complications of religions, and having specifically our character says it in this book specifically, after having been in the first two books very much, a believer of something, not sure exactly what, but that he was vastly interested in all of the religions that, had come around and had been destroyed over time by the Lord Ruler. To see in this book specifically him struggling with all of that and having to basically find himself again and really kind of dissect these religions he had learned and whether or not that they express a certain kind of truth that he can believe in, and struggling with that, and kind of having all that questioning of faith and questioning of is this something that is true, or is this all something that is used as a kind of comfort for people for whatever reason. I really like the exploration of that. Knowing that he had identified at one point, if not currently, as a Mormon man, and discussing in a lot of ways the idea of religion by itself in general, not specific to just Mormonism, but to various religions, worldwide. I really appreciated the delicacy that was done with that, because it very easily could have been something where he could have preached about Mormonism within this book with all this talk about religion, or a religion that would be similar to Mormonism in this world. And I greatly appreciate that that was kind of refrained from, because I think it would have made this story not as enjoyable if that was the case. If anything, I feel like that this almost in a sense takes things from a very, specifically in this book, from a very atheist perspective, which I greatly appreciate, because I feel like that there's a lot of people in the world who don't believe in like any kind of a god of any kind. And even as someone who is a practicing witch and works with deities that I believe are there with me, I greatly appreciate this atheist perspective, because there is this thing about with a lot of people, especially when they move from religions like Christianity specifically, where there's a lot of questioning, there's a lot of like trying to dig for information, especially if you're actively looking for that. Like there's plenty of atheists who don't even really give a crap about, looking into other religions and to find validity or find truth. But to have a character in this who for so long we knew spent a lot of his time looking at religions and studying the religions and, believing in the things that they, tried to think about, or maybe not so much believing, but at the very least being able to understand what it is that they believed in. And then to see them go through this book where it is very hard to continue thinking this way after everything they've been through, and believing that there can't possibly be really any good in the world or any kind of justice in the world when it comes to gods, and how very much like when people in Christianity go through really hard times like deaths of loved ones or sickness or something along those lines, how they very easily can question their faith and question their beliefs because they deal with things that are so traumatic. And I think that that is just a very interesting perspective to look into this. And I don't know, something about this series just is amazing. I'm so glad that I was able to start this series and start my experience with reading Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere with, you know, this group of people who also had never really read it, or even some people who had read it and were joining in just for the fun of it, to see everybody else have fun with this. I know I was messaging one of the people in our group, Helen, because I knew that they had read all of this stuff already, and so I was messaging them at like 1 o'clock in the morning being like, are you serious? Oh my god, I can't believe this. So thank you, Helen, for putting up with my messages at 1 o'clock in the morning my time. I don't know if it was that late for you. Really, really fun to be able to read this for the first time, and I think just understand, I feel like, fully why people like Brandon Sanderson. I know that he's had a massive following for years, and now I get it. I understand why. I understood that with the first book, Mistborn. I understand so much now, though, that he will become an auto-buy author for me. Like, there is no question in my mind that anything he puts out, I'm going to at least like, if not outright love, because I love his writing style. I love the way that he's able to construct these very fantastical worlds, but also, you know, keep them very grounded to feel like they're so real, which I think deals with the fact, you know, that, you know, he created an entire universe that by themselves would kind of have their own contemporary-esque feelings about things. So to feel that this series felt so grounded and yet so fantastical, it's something that is very hard, I think, for a lot of people to do, because it's either fully contemporary or fully fantastical, and I just can't believe I slept on Sanderson for so long. I feel like I've missed out so much on all of his work, but now that I'm doing the Cosmere read along with Bree and Brandie, I have a chance to get through a lot of his work, especially in this year, and with the fact that he has that Kickstarter campaign that did super well, where he's going to have like 5 secret projects coming out in the next handful of years. Oh, I love this so much. Finally got this one done. This was my carryover book from May, so finally got this done, and I can move on to something that is going to actually count for points for Battle of the Bookish. And the book I'm going to be working on is another Sanderson book, which is The Rithmatist. Like I said before, this was my royally booked book club read for May that I did not get to. This is, I believe, a young adult story, and it's very steampunk looking. It's got a lot to do with math. There are, for instance, like one of the first pages of the book is an illustration of some kind of a schematic or mathematical diagram, and there is a map in the book, which basically looks to be a modified version of the United States called the United Isles. So basically, I'm assuming this is placed sometime in the future where, or maybe even in the past, and like it's an alternate universe of the US in a sense. Apparently this is like a dark academia story, which is another thing I do know. The Royally Booked Book Club, we tend to read books that are kind of based in dark academia, which it's also just really fitting that, you know, we're reading this as I read the Brandon Sanderson books, because I want to read more of his work, not just in the Cosmere, but, you know, outside of that. Like, I would also like to read the Skyward series with the fighter pilots and stuff. That sounds like it's going to be a really fun time. Once I can get this done, which it's fairly short, it's much shorter than like the Mistborn books. It's 370 pages and looks like that it might contain a sequel, because I just saw like the very last page said to be continued. I don't know what that means, but apparently there might be another book coming out in this series, if it's not already out. But this should take me not nearly as long to read as like the Mistborn books. And then my other book I'd like to get through this week if I can is maybe Supernova by Marissa Meyer. But we're going to start with this first. I do have the audiobook of this as well through my public library by using the Libby app, so that's going to make this a lot easier. The audiobook looks to be about 10 hours. Typically, since I read physically as I listen, I can usually put it on 2x speed, so this is more of like a 5-hour book. So this is something I probably could crank out in like a day if I chose to, but I'm just going to take it as I can, take it easy, not overwhelm myself. But this will be my first read officially for Battle of the Bookish, so that's very exciting. I'm very happy now, 8 days in, to finally move on to something that is not Mistborn for just a hot minute, just until I can get a few other things read before fully jumping into Mistborn Era 2. Good morning, everybody. It is 5 to 9 in the morning on Friday. I haven't updated the last couple of days because, quite honestly, not much has happened the last couple of days. I've been not feeling the greatest. First of all, I was really lethargic yesterday. Like, after work, I almost like didn't want to do anything. And for the last like handful of days, I've been like off and on having an issue with my wrist. I did actually find my wrist brace though last night, so I was actually using that. And so now it feels a lot better just having been able to keep it stabilized for even just like a few hours. Cause basically like I just get this tendonitis almost like right in here from work, and this is my dominant hand. So like everything I do is with this hand. And there's an Oscar here who wants to say good morning to mom. Or at least bother me because, you know, it's morning and he's still getting up and around and he wants to play, but mama can't play because she's doing stuffs. Anyway, so then on top of that too, besides my wrist hurting, my whole body for like a last couple of days was kind of like off and on just in pain. I don't know what I did. It wasn't even like massive amounts of pain, but it was just enough to be annoying, if that makes sense. Like the pain I had felt was like very lingering. It wasn't like full blown, like muscles couldn't work or anything. It was honestly just like enough to the point where I would be like, okay, I hurt, and any kind of movement hurts. Why is this happening? This is not okay. So like I wouldn't be like crying or anything on the floor in pain or like anything like that, but it was definitely enough where I was like, this is not right. Something's up. So last couple of days I basically rested as much as I could, which was quite a lot. Like honestly, I haven't really done much the last couple of days. And then yesterday, like I said, I just kind of was so exhausted. I really didn't do much after I finished work. I made dinner. I kind of lounged around for most of the evening, and that was basically it. So today though, I have a little bit of a packed day. First of all, I have work. So I'm going to be here at my desk until about 5 o'clock this afternoon. And then after work, immediately, I have to go get groceries because tomorrow I have a friend of mine who is going to come see us for a little bit. She's coming, basically going to be back in my hometown, which she already lives like 2+ hours away from where my hometown is. But she's going out there and said that she would be able to come swing by our house and hang out and have lunch and stuff with us tomorrow afternoon, because around this time every year she comes back to our hometown and basically like visits family, house sits for family, stuff like that. And so she's able to like come sit and hang out with me for a little while, which is great because this is usually the time of year I'm only able to see her. Other than last year when she got married, and then I got to see her in June last year. Basically what that also means is that I have to, today while I'm out grocery shopping, find a gift for her birthday, because her birthday is at the end of June, and typically around this time when I get to see her in June, it's usually like right before her birthday and right before my birthday. And then Sunday, I'm going to go see my sister with my mom. It was supposed to be we were going to go tomorrow, but it turned out that my sister wasn't like sure whether or not she was going to have to work tomorrow because she wasn't scheduled, but it had sounded like it was possible she could get picked up for a shift for work. So she wanted to leave herself as open as possible so that in the event that she gets asked to come in, she could do that. And this is going to be a really interesting trip to go see my sister because I've been off my meds now, my anxiety meds, for the last 2 weeks, and I've been feeling great. I didn't really tell anybody that I've been off my meds except for my husband and my mom and my sister. And this will be the first time, actually today will be the first time I go get groceries without being on my medication on a day that is going to be likely very busy in a town that is usually very busy, especially on the weekends with grocery shopping. And then Sunday going to an even bigger city sometimes, in my opinion, that is going to be very busy with it being a weekend and kind of having to be also in a place I'm not super familiar with, because basically we're going to a mall on Sunday to just go hang out, go shopping, because that's typically what my mom, sister, and I do to spend time together is we go shopping. It's going to be interesting because this mall that we go to is very busy almost every time we go there. And so this will be a real test to see how I do, because one of the things about my anxiety is that I don't do very well in spaces where there's a lot of people, especially in areas I don't know, I'm not familiar with. That's basically where all my social anxiety is, because I like people, I like talking to people. I do consider myself more of an introvert because I would prefer to stay home and not really interact with too many people on a regular basis. but I have no issue with being outside with people. It's kind of like, though, if I'm in a very unfamiliar area, I get very, very nervous and I have like a panic attack sometimes. And so this will be a really good test to see how it's going to go, if I can handle it, because the reason I went off of my meds was so that I could see if I could handle being off of them. If I, after 9 months of being able to be on the medication and basically keep my intrusive thoughts at bay enough to where I could process a lot of the emotions I have in different situations, and where places I get very anxious, you know, kind of sussing it out and really understanding that I am capable of handling myself in those places when my emotions are, you know, in check. Now it's kind of time to exercise those muscles without the medication. And I don't recommend this for many people. I highly recommend that if you have to be on medication, you do so and stay on it. But for me personally, I needed the medication just to give myself a little bit of space from my intrusive thoughts I would have, so that I could then process everything a lot easier. Because if you have intrusive thoughts like I do, especially when it comes to anxiety, it is very hard to get them to be quiet when you're trying to work on yourself and heal yourself with, you know, your anxiety, your depression, whatever the case may be. And so I thought that because I'd done so well, having been on my medication for 9 months, it definitely was time for me to at least test the waters and see how things are going. And so far, being off of my meds for about 2 weeks, I have noticed a lot of things. First of all, I notice much more effectively now how caffeine affects me. And so a lot of times over the last couple of weeks, after I have my morning cup of coffee, if I feel as if having one of my Alani Nus is gonna be too much, I don't drink it. Whereas normally I would still just drink the caffeine thinking it's gonna get me through the day and it doesn't affect me at all. And it does. It doesn't necessarily give me the energy boost that caffeine typically does, because I've been drinking caffeinated things for so long. But in terms of keeping my anxiety kind of at a lower level, if I don't drink an Alani Nu after my coffee, especially on a day where I feel like it's gonna make things worse, not drinking that Alani Nu actually helps me get through my day a little better, because I'm not feeling as anxious as I would be if I had that energy drink coursing through my body. Basically, I'm able to listen to my body a lot better. I've been able to really suss out exactly what my body is telling me and what my brain is thinking, and then kind of keep myself from overthinking, which is really good. I've not really been able to do that ever before I got on my medication, and while I was on my medication, I didn't have to necessarily worry about that so often. But being able to kind of be aware of how my body is reacting to the stimuli that is, you know, internal or even external, that's a huge step for me personally. Like, that's a really big thing. I'm also recognizing how alcohol tends to affect my body. So I've had like a couple of drinks here in the last, you know, week or so, and I've noticed how it really makes me feel more lethargic than I would like to feel. And honestly, I don't like the way that I feel when I drink alcohol. For instance, when I was at the wedding I was at this past weekend, part of why I was feeling so unwell was because I needed to keep drinking to keep myself from feeling so sick. But then my anxiety kind of kicked in, and so I was just not able to keep drinking. And so I had to like stay by myself and kind of try to keep myself from vomiting. And I think that's because my body is not as attuned to alcohol as it is when I'm on my medication. And so I don't know how I feel about that. I think that basically what that tells me is I either need to completely stop drinking in general because I don't like the way I feel with it, or if I do drink, I'm gonna have to like go kind of hard, and I don't really want to do that. So I think that basically I'm gonna try to not drink as often, which I don't even drink that often anyway. I mean, maybe like once or twice a week I'll have a glass of wine, but I don't really drink too much too often. It's not something I've ever really used as a coping mechanism, so it's not something that's turned into that for any reason. It's kind of just like, you know, at the end of the day to unwind, or when I'm just enjoying myself, you know, having the glass of wine. I don't know, but it seems like I can't really enjoy drinking anymore for even just, unwind purposes. So I'm thinking that I may eventually just stop drinking entirely, which, that's actually really interesting because I used to be one of those kids growing up where I thought that by drinking alcohol at all, I was going to become addicted to it and become an alcoholic. And I have not done that as of yet. And I feel very proud of myself that I never have let it get to that point. But I don't like the way that I feel now when drinking alcohol, especially being able to listen to my body after having gone off my meds. So that's some interesting stuff that I've kind of been experiencing over the last couple of weeks. And it's entirely possible too that all the lethargy that I've been feeling over the last couple of weeks could be from, being off my medication, because when you go off, there are some side effects that you can, experience. So I would not be surprised if half of the lethargy I've had has been because my body is getting rid of the chemicals and stuff that are involved with my medication. So, this is going to be a really interesting look into how I can function without it. And so far, I'm feeling like I can function without it, which is great. So that makes me very happy. That tells me that I've done a lot of healing in the last 9 months to really focus. Whoa, that was weird. Okay, sorry about that. Our modem blinked out for a second, so I had to fix that, but everything's working now, thankfully. So anyway, what I was basically saying was that I feel like that with being off my meds for the last 2 weeks, I feel great. I feel really good. It's not perfect by any means. I do still, have the intrusive thoughts. That has been something that's kind of come back, but again, I think that having been able for the last 9 months to really be able to take the time and put the effort into actually look into why I feel things and how I feel things, it's really been helpful. So I do feel very grateful that I am able to go off my meds without so far very many issues. But again, I would not recommend this for anybody who is on medication. I think that your meds are very important for you, especially if you have much more damaging emotional issues, in the sense where if you have bipolar, BPD, any kind of massive mental health issues that require mood stabilizers, or anything that really is to keep you from hurting yourself in a sense, I would not recommend you going off your meds and really consulting with a doctor if you can. My doctor had always put me though on the lowest dosage of my medication. So it's not as if I was taking the highest dosage and just completely quit cold turkey. It's actually been more of I've been on the lowest dosage and I've been able to manage being on the lowest dosage and not ever really having to go any higher. So I felt it was appropriate to test the waters, and if I felt as if I needed to go back on my medication, I definitely would. And there may come a time down the line where I may need to go back on them, and that's okay. I just wanted to see if after nearly a year I could handle being without them after having had so much time to really reflect and really give myself the ability to kind of be at peace with a lot of things and be okay with a lot of the things that make up my anxiety. I know though I am one of the very lucky few though who can do things like that and not have any adverse effects. So I am aware of the privilege I have. I am aware of the luck that I have when it comes to that, and I am not taking that for granted. That is why I am giving myself that kind of fallback where if I have to go back on my meds, I will. But as of now, where I sit 2 weeks going through this, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling, really hopeful, and I definitely feel as if I could continue to live without my medication. But again, don't recommend that for anybody else that is taking especially very high dosage medication. Stay on your meds if you have to. Stay on your meds if you need to. Don't go down my path if you don't feel comfortable with it. That is fine. Every person is different. Every person is different in terms of how their meds work for them. So if it's working for you and you don't feel the need to go off of them, please do not. And also, if you feel as if you do need to go off your meds or you would like to try to see how you can function without them, I would highly suggest talking to your doctor before doing so, especially if you have a higher dosage of medication. And even if you're on the lowest dosage, do not do what I did. I am not somebody to follow. Do not do this without consulting a doctor. Having spoken to my husband, my sister, and my mother all about going through this, they all are willing to support me and help me if something was to go wrong, because I have a very strong support system, which most people, especially with mental illness, do not have. So I am a very, very lucky and very privileged individual. So my experience is very different from the norm. So please do not follow my path if that is not something you're comfortable with, or something that is not within your realm of possibility. That is fine. Your realm of possibility is different from mine. God, I don't know how many more times I'm going to be able to say that, because good God, I know there's going to be people who are going to be like, oh, you didn't say anything about not listening to you, and like you're doing something that like not many people should be doing if they're on medication. I am blatantly telling you, don't do what I'm doing. Don't do that. Like, you're going to do something like this, talk to your doctor first. That is the most important thing you can do. I am just a dumb bitch who decided that I'm just going to go off my meds and see how things are going to go. And somehow, knock on wood, I've been doing pretty okay without them. So there we go. I've done the disclaimer, I've done the warning, I've done everything. So nobody can say I haven't told people to not do what I'm doing, because there's gonna be always that one person that's gonna be like, you didn't say anything about people not doing this. Like, I did. I have proof. The final footage has proof of this. So nobody can say that I didn't warn people about not doing this. But anyway, with that being said, my camera's gonna die. I need to get back to work here shortly. So I will speak to all of you guys later. Just real quick before my battery dies, on page 63 of the Rithmatist, so far I have no idea how I feel about it. But I'm still only like 14% in, so we'll see how things go. Good morning, everybody. It is apparently a great time for Oscar to play. It's just now 10 o'clock in the morning. We are upstairs this morning for the first time to do some work in a long time, because I haven't really had a chance to test Oscar super well on how he does up here, especially if he has his toys. Because most times when I'm up here with him, he decides to get into stuff that he's not supposed to. But I think he's going to be alright if he keeps his toys in here with him. So I have a lot of stuff here on my table, because I have a lot of stuff I'd like to get done this morning before my friend comes over. I'm not so sure exactly when she's supposed to be here. I didn't message her until like 11:30 at night while I was doing sprints, because I rescheduled my sprints from today to last night because of the fact that I'm doing the Brandon Sanderson read-along live show. Oscar apparently has the zoomies this morning. He's very, very excited. But basically what I'm going to do is get through a bunch of stuff this morning that I can before she arrives, which basically includes my daily tasks of my studies, doing the library spreadsheet, and my practice stuff, because yesterday I didn't end up being able to do anything with my practice, which is fine. It's really simple. I just basically have to find herbs and stuff that are going to work for both glamour spells and for protection spells. I need to do a little research on a planetary aspect that happened yesterday and one that happens today. So yeah, it's going to be a very eventful day, and I think we're going to kind of leave it up to chance of what's going to happen first. So I'll like roll one of my dice. I have my D12 up here, but I have a feeling that I'm going to need to use more like a D20, because I think I have a lot more on my plate than originally thought, but we'll see. Booba, do you need to go outside? Yeah? Okay. We're going to go take him outside real quick. So I've gone through and made a list. I have 10 things I can randomize from. So I'm going to grab my D10 and we'll see what we do. Okay, so the 10 things I have on here, I basically did a couple doubles because stuff I was gonna do tomorrow, I'm not gonna be able to do because I'm gonna be gone. So if I can get some of it done today, that would be fantastic. So like studying tomorrow, doing my practice stuff for tomorrow, doing my cleaning project for tomorrow, doing my library spreadsheet for tomorrow, studying, you know, those kinds of things that like I would be doing every day. I'm not gonna really have time to do it tomorrow because my mom, I think, is gonna come get me around 10 a.m. tomorrow morning to then head over to my sister's. So I would like to be able to get some of that stuff done today at some point, either before my friend comes over or between when she leaves and the live show. And Oscar is still very energetic, so he's gonna be acting all kinds of crazy while I do any of this. So let's see what we end up doing. So first off, don't mind the very messy table. This is what I have to work with because I still have to do a cleaning project up here. But let's see what we end up doing first. So we got 4, which number 4 is doing the library spreadsheet of authors with last name K. Oscar, why are you so energetic today? Can you settle down? Okay, there we go. Good boy. Tuckered himself right out. Okay, so K's are all done. My friend Erica just texted me saying that she's gonna be here hopefully around noon. So I have a little less than an hour and a half before she's gonna be here. I think I can get maybe one more thing done randomized. After that, I have to go downstairs and clean up the bathroom just to make it at least a little bit more presentable. And then after that, we'll kind of see where we go. I also should probably get changed out of my pajamas so that I at least look a little bit more presentable. So we'll do that. But surprisingly, even though I have like a massive amount of authors under the last name K, I didn't have to put in that many. Like I had to put in maybe like 5 or 6 different titles, which is cool. It's whatever. So let's roll for our next objective. All right, let's see what we end up getting. It's another 4. We already did that. And another 4. 5. Okay, so next on the list at 5 is to go through our budget planner. So I'm gonna do that real quick, basically just update on the expenses that we've done, and then that should be good to go. And then I'll go ahead and clean the bathroom and then also get changed. Okay, the bathroom is cleaned. I am dressed. So we're gonna go ahead and take some time to do another thing. I've got a little bit less than an hour before Erica's supposed to be here. So we're gonna go ahead and do, I think, at least one more activity depending on how long it's gonna take me. and we'll kind of go from there. But no matter what, a lot of this stuff I will be able to do between when Erica leaves and before the live show tonight, so that'll be fine. No big deal. I just feel like that I got quite a few things done today in like the hour that I've been like really focused on doing stuff. So let's see what we get. Okay, next roll for next activity. It's a 5. We just did 5. Another 5. Oh boy. Another 4. 1. Okay, so the first thing is doing my studying for today. So, or, well, technically for Friday because I didn't do my studying yesterday. So we'll do that real quick. Okay, it is going on noon. It's 11:53 right now. I have got so much stuff done just waiting for Erica to even make her way out here. She's on her way now. She'll be here between like 12:30 and like 12:45 basically. But I did all my practice stuff. I did my studying. I did the L section of my library, so now that's all caught up. I pretty much did everything that I need to except for the 2 cleaning aspects I need to do for this weekend, which I determined are going to be basically going through the shoes I have and seeing what I need to get rid of, and then also going through and just kind of sprucing up the living room, like vacuum the little rug that we have in here that's got just a ton of dirt and crap on it, making the blankets, you know, all folded and nice, and just kind of sprucing up the living room. So that's basically it. And then I think the only other thing is I need to do my witchy practice stuff. I've done a little bit of that. I created a very simple workout plan for July, which basically involves me doing a repetition of yoga, upper body workouts and lower body workouts, and then on the 4th day resting because for instance, like the first full week of July, the 4th, I'm gonna be busy. I'm gonna be out with family and stuff like that. And then the 8th is my birthday, and I have plans to go get my tattoos and stuff. So I would really rather not be doing too much on my birthday, which includes doing workouts and stuff. So about every 4th day of July, I'll be doing a rest day, which will be really nice. And then just basically doing whatever my heart's desire is for the workouts for yoga, upper body, and lower body. I'm not looking to lose weight. I'm just looking to kind of get back into shape because I'm very out of shape, and just make myself feel a little bit better. Try to get some more energy into me. And the reason I'm not starting it here in June is because I've just got so much stuff going on right now in June that it's hard for me to find the time to sit and figure out my workout plan. So, and it's nothing that's like super dire for me to do. It's more of like, this is what I just want to go into the next month thinking about. So right now though, I'm going to be able to do some sprints because my next activity I get to do is a little bit of reading sprints before Erica shows up. So I have my D12 right here. We're down in the living room, and Oscar is being so cute and so patient, waiting for me to just sit down with him. So we're gonna quickly do a little roll and see how much time we get. If it's gonna be more than 45 minutes, really, I'm not gonna like do anything because again, I'm waiting for Erica. She's gonna get here within the next like hour, 45 minutes or so. Okay, so sprint is gonna be nope, not an hour. Okay, well that's a natural, we went from a natural 12 to a natural 1. So this means I'm gonna have to either have or double whatever my next roll is, because this is technically the punishment roll. Okay, so an 11, that's 55 minutes, so we have that because it's of the higher numbers. And this, I believe, thank you, Oscar, is going to be about 27 and a half minutes. Rounding up, we'll do about 30. I think that works pretty well. All right, we are all comfy cozy on the couch. Oscar is gonna stare out the window and keep watch for me because that's what he's decided to do. I'm gonna get my little timer out here. We're gonna set it for 30 minutes. Again, if you don't know what app I use for my reading sprints, typically I use the Flora app, and I don't have anything, I can't unlock the next thing because it's for 50 minutes or more. But I've already unlocked the last thing, which is a snow pair, so we're gonna do that. But 30 minutes of reading. Let's do it. So it is 10:15 in the morning on Monday. I don't really remember much of what I last left you off on. I think it was right before Erica came and visited, which was really nice. She came over and had lunch. I managed to get a couple chapters more read of the Rithmatist. I'm basically like almost 70% of the way through it is what I remember. I haven't picked it up really since then though, because Saturday Erica was over for most of the afternoon, and then Robert came home for a hot second and then left to go do stuff with some friends because they were doing birthday celebrations for one of my friends. And then I did the live show for the Hero of Ages, which went really well. I had a really good time, and I think that we really like had amazing conversations. Like I had amazing conversations with Bree and Brandie and Dion, for those of you that were there. Dion is just great. I love them. But Bree and Brandie and I had really awesome conversations about a lot of the stuff that happened within the Hero of Ages and the entire series of Mistborn Era 1 in general. So it was honestly like a really awesome live show, and I'm super, super thankful that they invited me to partake in that. And then yesterday I was out with my mom. We went and visited my sister, and honestly I had nothing to worry about. I actually handled the amount of people that were like around us, and like it was really busy. Like it was very crowded in some places, and so I was like surprised with how well I was able to handle it. So I'm very proud of myself. Like the whole time I was coming home with my mom, I was just so relieved and just really happy that I was able to handle it, because I thought, especially with being off of my medication, that I was not going to be okay, that I was going to have at least one panic attack, and I didn't have any. The only thing that I, experienced was I had a little bit of stomach issues in the morning, which I think was just the coffee I had. I have an issue with drinking frappuccinos from like Starbucks or any frozen drinks, that like any frozen coffee. So my stomach wasn't super okay for the first little bit, but then it settled down. And after like a long time, because we were there from like 12:30 till like 6 o'clock when the mall closed. So we closed down the mall. And by the end of that, our legs were so tired. Like my knees, my thighs, my calves, my ankles, my feet, like everything from the hips down was just in so much pain from walking the whole time. But it was so worth it. We had such a good time. And then we went over to Target for a hot second because my sister wanted to go look for something at Target specifically. And then we went back to my sister's place, hung out there for a hot second, and then Mom and I basically headed back here. She dropped me off, and then she went home herself. But like I said, I didn't get really anything else read. I was gonna come home last night and read, but I was so exhausted from being out and walking around everywhere that I basically sat on the couch with my husband, and I just like started to slowly fall asleep until finally about 11 o'clock I decided I was gonna go to bed because I did have to work today. Today is the first day of this week where my coworker is gonna be gone, so I've basically been having to do a ton of stuff on my own, which is not like abnormal by any means, but there's a lot of stuff happening with work right now that like is massively urgent. Like things need to be done before Wednesday, and my coworker's gone, so it's all led up to me. And then we still have other things coming in that have to be taken care of that aren't as urgent, but it just keeps piling up and piling up. So I'm struggling a little bit, but I'm okay. I'm not really so much anxious as it's more of like I'm just annoyed that there's so much going on. But I did get through basically the stuff that was super urgent, needed to be done like today, at least so far for right now, and then now I can move on to getting some of the other stuff done that we have currently in our queues, and basically wait for the next thing that needs to be done urgently before Wednesday, because like they're kind of coming in installments as people get them, and then they send them to me to have taken care of. So that's kind of what we're dealing with for the next couple of days. But as far as what's going to be going on for next week, so this next week I'm going to finish the Rithmatist because I don't have much of it left, and I think I could crank it out, a lot of it, probably today after work. I think tomorrow we're going to start Supernova finally. We're going to start Supernova by Marissa Meyer and finally finish out my reread/finish series of that. I've been putting it off long enough. It needs to be done. I want to get it done because I have a lot of other things I'd also like to get to this month, which include the Mistborn Era 2 series, now that we've done the Hero of Ages live show, because Bree and Brandie are already on book 2 of Mistborn Era 2, so I gotta get some reading in for that. But yeah, that's kind of the plan, is hopefully by the end of next week I'll have at least started the Mistborn Era 2 books, if not completed one of them already. And I think that with Supernova, it's going to be really interesting, because that one I'm going to have to really pay attention to, since it'll be the first time I read it, as opposed to Arch Enemies and Renegades, where I had already read them before and remembered most of what had happened. Yeah, but anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you'd like to be and would like to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.